How much of what you're doing in your business right now is feeding your soul? How much of it is fueling that entrepreneurial fire that is inside of you? Now, if we're spending all of our time in the day-to-day activities, the admin, the checking emails, the responding to customer queries, maybe sitting on the line with suppliers for what can feel like hours on end, we actually lose that spark that drives the entrepreneur inside of us, right? The visionary that our business needs in order to thrive. These day-to-day activities actually take us out of the things that bring the best out inside of us, and those things that we ultimately should be doing that can make the biggest impact on moving our businesses forward towards our goals. Now, there are 4 types of work that exist in any business. It doesn't matter whether it's a business of one or a business of hundreds of employees. These 4 types of work are present in all businesses and at all levels within the business. Now, your business needs all 4 types of work in order to thrive. And most entrepreneurs are neglecting one or more of the type of work that will help them to grow. Now, once you know what the 4 types of work are, you will immediately know which one is getting the most of your attention and which one you aren't giving any attention at all, and how you can rebalance. And that is what we are going to discuss today. Now, before we dig in, it's important to know that there is no type of work that is good or bad, right? They are all equally important in your business. What matters most is that we get ourselves to the ideal mix for these 4 types of work, and that we get our team balanced on these 4 types of work as well, so that you can get into your ideal mix as the business owner, which will allow you and everyone else to operate only within the areas that provide the most value to the business. Now, again, if you are the business right now, this is still relevant to you. I would argue that it is especially important in the beginning stages as a solo entrepreneur, because operating in the ideal mix of these 4 types of work will help you to grow faster. Okay, let's dive in. So the 4 types of work and what their ideal mix is for each inside a small business is the following. The first type of work is the one that we all know really well, and that is doing. Now, this is the type of work where the most time is spent inside of businesses, right? It's the doing work. This is where we and our team are executing tasks, and we need to do work in order to deliver and give value to our customers, right? But this is also the type of work where we can waste a lot of time if we're not clear on what the most important tasks within the doing is, right? The doing is also the type of work most business owners trap themselves in, because they are the ones doing it all the time, with little to no time for the other types of work that are needed for the business to thrive. Now, examples of doing is delivering to your clients, sending and responding to emails, keeping the books up to date, right? Creating those social media posts, or maybe going to networking events to market your business. The doing is how we add value to our potential and current clients. And ideally, we want to be spending around 80% of our time in this type of work. Now, if you have a team, and even if that team is a team of one, right? This doesn't mean that you should be spending 80% of your time as the business owner in the doing of things. That might not be ideal for you. Now, as we grow our team, as we grow our businesses, what our specific ideal mix looks like for the 4 types of work is going to be different, right? Let's dive into the second type of work. The second type of work is deciding. And this is where we are deciding for other people, right? So maybe we have handed over some tasks, but the person that is doing the task that we have handed over the task to, they cannot rely, they cannot get things done without asking us for approval or getting our input, right? So we've handed over a task to someone, but they don't necessarily own the ownership of the outcome that we want them to achieve, which means that although they are doing the task and it might initially feel like they're taking some things off of our plates, they aren't taking over the decisions that are related to that task, right? So the deciding still falls on our shoulders, and they are asking you things like, should I do this or should I do that? Is it okay if I do it this way or that way, right? And making decisions is exhausting, right? It's probably the highest taxing thing that we can ask our brains to do. So staying stuck in this type of work is also the least efficient way of spending your time as a business owner, because there is usually a lot of wasted time here where your team is waiting for approval, waiting for information, waiting for feedback, right? And it's not only exhausting on you, but it's also really frustrating for the person on the other side that is waiting for the information. So ideally, we want the business to not spend a lot of time in the deciding type of work, right? Although it is important, and there's always an element of deciding that happens somewhere in the business, but we don't want to be spending more than about 2% of our time in this type of work. Okay, the third type of work is delegating. And we are delegating when we assign responsibility of a specific outcome to someone. So, in other words, they own the outcome and any tasks that are associated with creating the outcome, right? And they are also responsible for making decisions that are associated with those tasks. Now, once we truly delegate something, we have released ourselves as the bottleneck inside of the business. And the more we delegate, the more independent our business actually becomes of us, right? So the delegating type of work is the hardest for us to do because as business owners, we believe that no one can do things as well as I can do it, right? Or that we won't be able to find the type of skill needed for that kind of responsibility, which I totally get. Now, it is important to understand that delegating in itself is a process, right? We're not just going to throw responsibilities at people and hope for the best, right? We're going to train them, we're going to guide them, and ultimately empower them to make decisions, right? We're going to empower them with the information, the authority, and ultimately the confidence to take ownership in their role. Now, this is the type of work that many business owners aren't willing to do. And it's because it always feels easier and faster for us to do these things ourselves, right? But this mindset also keeps us stuck inside of our businesses, which is meant to be freeing us, not imprisoning us. We want to be spending about 8% of our time empowering our team, teaching them the skills, guiding them to take ownership of an outcome inside of their role. Okay, so the fourth type of work is designing. And this is where we are strategizing and envisioning the future. We're innovating new ideas and concepts. We are giving our attention and our energy to being industry leaders. Now, we spend a lot of time here in the beginning phases of our business, right? And this is the first type of work that gets lost amidst the day-to-day of running a business as we grow. But designing is like cash flow in the business. It is lifeblood. It's the type of work that keeps our businesses relevant and also ensures that we're always providing our clients with the highest level of service. Now, we want to spend around 10% of our time designing. Now, these four types of work make up the value that your business is adding to the marketplace, right? And someone needs to be functioning in one of these areas inside of your business. Now, each type is important, right? So let's recap. The four types of work and their optimum mix is doing 80%, deciding 2%, delegating 8%, and designing 10%. Now, if you want to set your business up to run without you, you have to get the mix right, right? And I actually do a specific time tracking exercise with my clients so that they can see exactly what their current 4D mix is. But most business owners actually know immediately. As soon as they hear what the 4 types of work are, you've probably, as you've been listening, you already know where you are falling short, right? Where you're spending more time and where you need to give some attention. Now, the more you are personally involved in the doing, right? The doing things inside of the business, that 80%, the less free you are from your business. And if you love doing certain activities inside the business, then we're not going to say that you're not allowed to do inside of the business, right? But we want to make sure that you're actually doing things that are making the highest contribution to the business as a whole, and that those things also light you up as an entrepreneur. So now that you know what the 4 types of work are, where are you spending your time? And if you recognize that you need to make some shifts, I would recommend that you start small, right? Start with 1% shifts towards that ideal 80 to 8-10 mix. So if you're working 30 hours per week, as an example, you want to aim for spending 24 in the doing, right? If you're the only person inside of the business. Of course, if you have a team, you want to make sure that the team as a whole is spending 80% in the doing, right? So 24 hours of the 30 if you're working alone inside of the doing things inside of your business, at least 3 hours designing, and at least 2.5 hours delegating. And if you don't have a team yet, you can utilize the time that you would have used in training a team to actually capture and document how you are doing things currently inside of your business so that you make delegating or outsourcing easier on yourself and your new team member in the future. I also want to add that if you're looking at your workday and the amount of time that you are spending and, on your business, make sure that you are also adding some downtime in your schedule, right? You will be more productive and have more energy when you give your brain time off. Remember, there are no medals for working yourself to death. So make time for your life outside of your business. If you do, you will be better and happier when you're behind your desk again. I will see you next week. Thank you so much for tuning in with me today.